Well, you pull out and you shoot 4 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
Did you think that King Von survived the shooting, or did you know that he was gone at that point?
No, I didn't know neither one if he was gone or still alive. Any brother I have or any sister I have or any family member I have, if anybody is bothering or doing something to anybody who I love, I'm going to protect them.
So you're in the hospital, you were shot yourself, and then you actually get arrested for the shooting?
Right. Like a couple days later in the hospital, they come chain me to the bed.
If the rumors are true, it definitely looks like Lul Tim might have just locked himself up for good with his alleged latest confession.
So you're in the hospital, you were shot yourself, and then you actually get arrested for the shooting?
Right. Like a couple days later in the hospital, they come chain me to the bed.
In a jaw-dropping interview with VladTV, he straight up admitted to K-ing King Von. And as you can imagine, the internet is going wild. People can't get over the sheer boldness of it. Some are in shock, and others are wondering if VladTV just handed him a one-way ticket to prison for life. So just recently, Lul Tim sat down with DJ Vlad and dove deep into the night he offed King Von. While it might have seemed like just another interview for Vlad, it's a whole different story for Tim, and the consequences could be huge. But strangely, Tim doesn't seem to care. During their chat, Vlad asked about the details of Von being shot 4 times that night, and instead of keeping it cool, Tim started spilling. At one point, he even admitted the gun jammed. Now, was that him openly confessing to the MDer? Seems like it, and exactly what Vlad was hoping for. Vlad didn't let up and pressed him for more, asking how many times the gun jammed, and without hesitation, Tim replied, probably 3 times.
Yeah, the gun jammed.
Oh, the gun jammed?
Yeah.
After the 4th shot?
Probably like the 3rd shot.
Well, this little exchange has people talking, and most aren't too sympathetic. One commenter even joked, Vlad about to wrap this interview up in 2 more clips. We got what we needed, hinting that Tim might have walked right into trouble. Another chimed in, Vlad couldn't wait for this part, suggesting Vlad may have no issue sending Tim toward jail time. But that wasn't all Tim had to say. He continued to share a play-by-play of that fateful night, describing how he was trying to protect his friend Quando.
Any brother I have or any sister I have or any family member I have, if anybody is bothering or doing something to anybody who I love, I'm going to protect them.
While the interview might give authorities a better picture of what happened, it's also working out perfectly for Vlad, who's reaping all the views and buzz that comes with it as usual. And just recently, federal authorities in Chicago made a few arrests in Houston, which they believe are linked to the complex situation surrounding the MDer of Quando Rondo's cousin. And guess what? Lil Durk seems to be caught right in the middle of this mess. Now to rewind a bit for context.
Chicago rapper Lil Durk has been arrested in Florida. Jail records show he was booked into the Broward County Jail pending charges of for hire.
All of this drama started back in 2020 when King Von was shot by Lul Tim and his crew outside a club in Florida. Von and Durk were tight, so this hit close to home for Durk. Timothy Lul Tim Leaks was charged with Von's MDer, but those charges got dropped months later, which some say was enough to push Durk to seek his own kind of justice. Fast forward to August 2022. Quando Rondo, the one who originally had beef with Von, was ambushed at a gas station in Los Angeles. He managed to get away unharmed, but his cousin, Saviaya Robinson, sadly wasn't as lucky. Law enforcement is convinced this hit was in direct retaliation for King Von's death, as Von and Durk were close friends. But now, with Tim's VladTV confession out there for everyone to see, especially on Vlad's channel, which has a certain reputation on the streets, it's looking like his case could get thrown back into the spotlight. This confession is bound to heat things up, and it's safe to say the drama is just getting started. For anyone unfamiliar with the backstory, Vlad's reputation is pretty notorious in certain circles, especially among black gangs like the Crips and Bloods, who've pretty much put a do not enter sign on their neighborhoods for him. It's not just a matter of personal dislike, it's way more than that. There's this long-standing belief, some even say evidence, that VladTV interviews are basically setups, traps to make people incriminate themselves without even realizing it. It's a theory that's been tossed around for years, but the wild part is there's an unsettling pattern that makes you wonder if there's truth to it. So far, 19 rappers have met violent ends after appearing on VladTV, and it's not just street rumor. Vlad himself even acknowledged this in a conversation with Boozy.
After Fulio got I decided to go through all my interviews and write down all the people I interviewed that have died violently. I counted 19 people. Jimmy Wapo, 21, Doe B, 22, Jay the Youngin, 24, BTB Savage, 26, FBG Duck, 26, Fulio, 26, Mo 3, 28.
And it's not just rappers who've lost their lives either. Plenty of other artists and gang members have ended up behind bars after saying too much during their interviews, often because they didn't realize the kind of questions Vlad would throw their way. While some artists, like Lil Baby, were quick enough to catch on to Vlad's tricks and shut things down, others didn't see it coming. Lil Baby, for example, has been open about calling DJ Vlad a snitch. During an interview, he figured out Vlad's game when he realized that what he thought would be a normal interview turned into something more like an interrogation.
Everything good, man. I'm seeing the buzz like growing out there. The songs are doing numbers. Like, congrats on what you're doing.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everything. Most definitely. Appreciate you for having me.
Vlad started poking around about a fight Lil Baby had been in during his time in prison, knowing that Baby had a rough past filled with legal troubles related to drug charges, a probation violation, and eventually a 2-year prison stint. But Lil Baby wasn't having it. He was sharp enough to call Vlad out right there, making it clear he wasn't going to play into Vlad's hands.
Was it like a racist thing? Was it like whites and blacks kind of clicked up in there?
How you know that?
Well, that's just how prison is most times.
I'm telling you, how you know I got into it with a white dude, though?
Then there's Tsu Surf, another rapper who put Vlad in his place. Tsu Surf, who's currently serving 5 years on RICO charges, sat down with Vlad back in 2019 and didn't hold back. He straight up said to Vlad's face that there's no way it's just a coincidence that so many people end up getting indicted after sitting across from him. Vlad denied it, of course, claiming he had no connections to the feds. But Tsu Surf wasn't fooled. He outright called Vlad a baiter and a trickster, especially when dealing with guests who aren't sharp enough to realize they're being set up. Surf handled it like a champ, showing Vlad that he was too smart to get caught up.
You got a couple indicted.
No, I didn't get anybody indicted.
You got a couple niggas.
I didn't get a single person indicted. Who did I get indicted? Who did I get indicted?
I ain't about to open another indictment on who you indicted. Such thing as bait. Like there's such thing as bait. You're a baiter. You feel me? Like you're a baiter. So you not. Of course you wouldn't take the bait for. You wouldn't say I got anybody indicted, but you fish.
But sadly, not everyone has that level of awareness. Some artists have ended up outright incriminating themselves on VladTV, while others got pulled into conversations that, looking back, seemed like traps from the start. There's a growing feeling out there that Vlad sets up these interviews in a way that nudges artists and gang members into exposing themselves, whether it's just for clicks or something more sinister. Take Keef D, for instance. Not long after his big VladTV appearance, things started spiraling in a way no one expected. Keef D had been sharing stories about his supposed role in Tupac's Emder for years without much happening. But right after his Vlad interview, he was suddenly arrested.
Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command, "Keep your hands where I could see them." Instead, Pac pulled out a strap.
It was almost surreal. After nearly 3 decades since Tupac Shakur's tragic Emder on the Las Vegas Strip, Keef D, a guy deeply embedded in the gang world, was officially indicted. On September 29, 2023, Las Vegas police showed up at his doorstep, and the charges: Emder with a deadly weapon with the intent to promote gang activity, throwing him straight back into the spotlight, but in a way he probably wasn't hoping for.
I got an investment group. Me and 2 of my guys, our plan is we lease buy one property once a month.
Then we have ARAB. Now here's a case that hit hard. In October 2018, ARAB, whose real name is Abdul Ibrahim West, found himself in the crosshairs of a major legal storm. Alongside 8 other associates, he was smacked with a heavy indictment, accused of leading a drug-trafficking ring that ran deep in North Philly. According to prosecutors, he wasn't just a participant. He was the mastermind behind an operation that moved substantial amounts of drugs, even hiding their stash in high-end properties around Philadelphia. By 2019, the trial had him on multiple counts of conspiracy and drug distribution. And in April 2021, he was sentenced to a jaw-dropping 45 years behind bars. It was a rough blow, especially since some argue that parts of his Vlad interview added fuel to the fire. And then there's Casanova. His situation played out in much the same way, and fans watched his story take a hard left after he went on VladTV. On June 27, 2023, Casanova was hit with a serious sentence, 188 months in prison. Many believe that his VladTV appearance didn't exactly help his case, as he openly discussed connections to the streets that, in hindsight, probably should have stayed under wraps.
Right, except when you go to prison, it's not fun anymore.
No, it's fun too.
It's fun too.
It's fun. Prison was fun. Everything stops being fun when you have something to live for. You get it? It's like...
So you just didn't give a
But it doesn't even end there. Even old school legends like Beanie Siegel haven't been immune to trouble after hitting Vlad's platform. On August 29, 2012, just weeks before he was set to start a prison sentence, Beanie Siegel found himself in more hot water.
That year, December 5th, 2014, you were in Pleasantville, New Jersey.
He was riding down I-95 in a Ford Fusion, just going about his day when state troopers pulled him over, supposedly for erratic driving. What began as a routine traffic stop quickly turned chaotic. Troopers reportedly found bottles of prescription meds, a little weed, a suspicious syrup bottle with a scratched-off label, and prescription pills. But the real issue? They also discovered a gun in the center console, which spelled trouble since both Beanie and the driver were convicted felons, prohibited from possessing firearms. In each of these cases, fans can't help but notice the eerie timing, and some say these incidents aren't just coincidences. For many, VladTV has become a hotbed for controversy, where one wrong word can make the difference between freedom and serious consequences. So here's how it all wrapped up for Beanie Siegel. After getting sentenced to 24 months for failing to file his tax returns, he started his time at Philly's Federal Detention Center on September 12, 2012. But that was just the beginning of his trouble. Because of those new charges, he got hit with an additional 23-month sentence for having illegal prescription drugs, and it was set to run alongside his federal sentence. By August 2014, Siegel was finally out of federal prison, but he still had a little more time to finish up at a halfway house in Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Vlad himself just couldn't resist stirring things up even more when Chicago's federal authorities made some headway in Lil Durk's case. Without skipping a beat, Vlad jumped onto X, throwing some shade at Durk, calling him dumb for allegedly getting a crew to board a plane. All for what turned out to be a botched hit that missed its mark. Vlad even doubled down, saying, "In multiple interviews I've said that nobody would get on a plane to off you. I said this because there would be so much evidence that they're guaranteeing prison. Well, today I was proven wrong," more like implying that Durk's move was stupid and now has him and the 5 others involved facing either life in prison or worse, the death penalty. Vlad went on, claiming, "Lil Durk was actually stupid enough to send 5 guys on a plane to off Quando Rondo. They ended up K-ing the wrong person, and now all 6 of them are facing life in prison, or even the death penalty. It's no secret that Durk and Vlad have a bit of a history, though. Back in 2022, Durk took a swipe at Vlad in his track Golden Child, dropping a line that went, "I don't speak tongues, period, I don't f*** with Vlad. I don't speak tongues, period, I don't f*** with Vlad." Apparently, Vlad didn't know where the heat was coming from until DJ Academics clued him in during a 2023 interview, revealing it was all because of an incident where Vlad accidentally let slip something about Durk's partner India's pregnancy. Despite Durk asking him to keep that detail under wraps, it aired anyway. And let's just say, that didn't sit well with Durk. And this might just be the tip of the iceberg. Rumors are flying that once these court hearings really get going, we could be in for a wild ride, with accusations and confessions coming from all sides. Just take Lul Tim, who's already in the mix and now seems to be adding fuel to the fire, even allegedly shooting himself in the leg as this whole mess unfolds. People say he should have just kept all that stuff in the past, but it looks like he's not quite ready to leave it behind. What do you think of all this chaos? Share your thoughts with us.